I would be remiss if I didn't bring up this horrific massacre in New Zealand. Muslims were explicitly targeted by allegedly a white supremacist. 2 years ago in Canada, we frankly had a very similar thing. 6 people were killed in a mosque in Quebec. Do you as politicians, all of you, need to do more to call out this kind, I call it terrorism, white supremacist terrorism?
Absolutely, we do. We have a responsibility, and we should be calling it out. When politicians are taking pictures with people from news outlets or people that are known to be spreading this hate on the internet, that's a problem. And every party should be addressing this. There is no political party in Canada who should stand by and watch people who are part of that party try to divide Canadians.
Do you have an example?
Lines.
Do you have a specific example?
Of course. We have Andrew Scheer, who was on the Hill in a rally next to Faith Goldie. Faith Goldie is known to be someone who spreads this type of hate, and it needs to be called out. And the Conservative Party of Canada needs to call it out. And they need to end any platform for this type of hate in our country. Because we saw the Canadian mosque shooting being referenced by this horrific killer down in New Zealand. So this is a global issue, and politicians have a responsibility to call it out whenever they see it.
Mr. Poilievre, Andrew Scheer tweeted out about this tragedy. He didn't even mention the word Muslim. He didn't mention the word mosque. You've got the other party saying that your leader went on Parliament Hill. There was a rally called United We Roll. Some very legitimate concerns there from truckers, but other groups, far-right groups, had attached themselves there. Does your party need to do more to and your leader to call out those kind of extremist right-wing groups and have a more responsible debate about fundamental issues like immigration?
Well, first, let me address the terrorist attack in New Zealand. This is an act of hate. It is an evil act, and Canadians stand with Muslims all around the world in grieving the terrible loss that resulted from it. And in particular, you want to talk about particularly Andrew Scheer and our party. Andrew Scheer showed up at a rally in favor of pipelines. Now, if the new standard is that every politician will be held accountable for 100%. If I could finish.
He knows well who Faith Goldie is, and that is not acceptable.
Okay, hang on. Go ahead, Ms. Poilievre.
So, if the new standard is that a politician has to be responsible for the hundreds of people or even thousands of people that attend every single public event, then that is going to mean a very different approach to how we treat it.
In all fairness, he could have simply said, if you're here for the carbon price protest, go for it. But I'm going to explicitly call out people who were, it was in the news that there was some very controversial extremist groups that had attached themselves to that group. Why not call them out? Now, in the wake of this, does that need to happen?
We always call out
racism.
Ford,
Andrew Scheer,
we always call out racism. We always oppose any form of hatred, and we absolutely condemn this terrorist attack and the hatred that motivated it.
Okay, Pierre, you need to call out your colleagues. You need to call out your colleagues. When your colleagues are taking pictures with these people, when they're at your conventions, they are known to be involved in spreading this type of hate. Exactly. And this is not free speech. This is hate speech. And Pierre, if you truly believe that, and I hope that you do, then I hope you will take that back to your caucus and spread that amongst your colleagues and say that it's unacceptable.
Exactly.
I just want to be very clear. That I don't want anybody to.
I think you have gone. I think I appreciate that my friends are trying to play politics with this terrible tragedy.
I'm not playing politics.
I think it really is unfortunate. I know, and that's precisely why both Liberals and New Democrats should avoid using this tragedy, this terrible tragedy that happened in New Zealand, to score political points at home, and by trying to draw those kinds of linkages. By trying to draw those kinds of linkages, I think is completely inappropriate. We should be united today in standing together against terrorism, against hatred, against racism, and we should not be trying to score political points by trying to make linkages between a group of people who are in favor of pipelines and a terrorist attack in New Zealand.